Hi Tribe, how's it going? And welcome to this week's video and the third video on All About series. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Blast. So let's blast off. So what the hell is Blast? Blast in OP terms is a combination of an introvert observer and an extrovert decider working together. And the way that that is going to come across in terms of OP is being able to share your known information. First, be able to access it through your introvert observer and share it with the tribe through the extroverted decider. So people who have Blast as a savior are going to have absolutely no issues sharing what they already know to the tribe in a very linear and orderly way. And also, they're going to have absolutely no problem in starting apparently any kind of activity. So that is a little bit tricky though, because the moment that I, for example, started to study OP, I came to a theory that I think that is good to share it with you guys. So they talk about a lot of Blast being able to get started and how people who have Blast as a demon is also going to have a lot of issues not only communicating their known information but getting started. That is not necessarily true because really what happens, at least the way that I see it, is that Blast is a transition animal, is obviously an extroverted information animal, but is also an animal that is going to help you out with the transitions of the activities. Not only communication wise, but activity wise, there's always going to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. And Blast is going to be able to help you through and take you through those transition points, obviously in an orderly way, beginning, middle, end, in everything that you plan to do or that you do. And that also includes talking, because obviously it's really known so far that Blast is also not talking. So that is also something that serves as a reference point to understand really what Blast does. Because what Blast does is actually transition from the beginning to the middle to the end. And that also includes being able to communicate in a linear way with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and also to do things more easily without struggling so much with the transition part. Now, also, Blast Sabers are not immune to procrastination. They are not going to be immune to postponing things. Because, in contrast, Blast Sabers are going to have Consume as a demon. So, each time that a Blast Saber is faced with doing something that requires to consume in order to know what the hell to do, that activity is going to be left off constantly and delegated constantly throughout the time, because in order to consume you need to understand that people who are savior consumes are aware also of the fact that one thing is to know something enough so you can in a way transition from through the beginning, a middle, and an end. And another thing is to know really what is needed to know to really master something. So the more that you consume, the difficult the blast is going to be, because there are way more elements that you need to be responsible for, that you need to be aware in order to control them, in order to organize them, so you can be able to communicate it in a more orderly way. So the less elements you're aware of something, the more easy is going to be to control those elements, and the more easy you're going to be able to see the beginning, the middle, and an end, because information wise you're not saturated. So that is also in a way, like my own personal, obviously, explanation about why people who have blast as a saber can't have consume as a saber. However, there are these obviously exceptions in a way to the rule, but they're still included in these patterns, which are the people who have blast third or consume third. Those people, you're not going to see them struggling in the same way, like, for example, a person who has blast fourth or consume fourth. So people, for example, who have blast third are going to be pretty damn good at communicating their known information very clearly, to be honest with you. And a very clear example of that is this week's celebrity, Andrew Huberman. Andrew was typed as MFSCTI, consume, play, blast, sleep. So he has blast third. And the way that he communicates is going to be really good, at least to be a blast demon. Many people might think that this guy is even going to be blast play. It can be easily confused with blast play. But you have to play like the relativity game and the coin game and to see, okay, this guy is pretty ace at blasting. But how is the consume doing in? How is the consume going in here? So the reason why Andrew Huberman is going to be consume over blast, regardless of him being able to communicate his known information quite well and not having that much of an issue getting started on shit, is because the way that if you really look at the way that he communicates and what he communicates in detail, he's always going to be very respecting of the information, because each time that he's blasting something, he seems to be pretty aware of being able to mention the source of information that he consumed that from. So he is going to constantly reference, because he's a scientist, he's always going to be very careful to reference back to the source of information that he pulled that blast or tip out from. And each time that he can't say the original source of information, he's always going to say, excuse me, I need to find that source of information. I need to go back to that source of information so I can be sure of what I'm talking, what I'm blasting of. So that is always going to be consumed about blast, regardless of him being very good at blasting, because he's respecting the information. People with consume is not that you buy a lot of shit for yourself. It's not that you learn a lot of shit for yourself. It's that the way that you're communicating things, you're always 99.9% of the time are going to respect the information that you're pulling that blaster tips from. And in a contrast, a blast saber is not going to be concerned with that. A blast saber is not going to care when communicating that it's important to mention the source of information that they pull that blaster tip from. If a blast saber says to you, drink 8 ounces of water a day because it's good, you very rarely, if not at all, are going to hear a blast saber saying, okay, the reason why this is important is because I read a book called Why Drinking 8 Ounces of Water is Important by said and said author, and in there it comes that tip that I applied to my life because I consume it first and it worked, and then you can use it too. So a blaster person that is blast first or second, they're going to come across as know-it-alls. And the know-it-all effect comes from not respecting the source of information where they consume those tips from, or where they put together those tips. So that's something that you gotta be very careful with when typing somebody, because communicating good is not good enough to say and to prove that this person is blast over consume. So if you see a disrespect for information in a way that I'm saying to you that this guy is not quoting the sources of information where he or she is blasting his information from. That might say, okay, yes, you communicate very well. However, you're respecting the information a lot, or you're not respecting the information that you consume. You're just communicating and pulling things out from your ass in a way, because that's blasting. Sharing your known information. Sorry, so you can access it. Like blast sabers don't care about the source of information. They just care to share what they know with the tribe. They are not really aware of where the hell did they got that information from. They got it somewhere, but they got it. That's the important thing. They got it and they're ready to share it with you. That's one point. Another point, of course, is already mentioned by many other people who do OP related content. Blast is not talking. Like don't go there. Because play is also talking a shit ton. And people who are play are going to talk a lot. However, the talk that you're going to see from a play person is going to be more informal. Is going to be more of back for. I throw the communication ball at you, and you throw that communication ball at me, and I throw that communication ball at you based on the communication ball that you throw at me, and it's this constant back and forth in the speaking, at least communicating process. Play is reactive, whereas blast is a one-way street. And when blast is activated, for example, what I'm doing right now is blasting, because I honestly don't care and I don't give a fuck about you reciprocating what I'm telling you back to me, or I'm not really interested in your feedback. What I'm trying to do right now with this video is to communicate my known information to you, so I'm able to teach that to you in a way, so it's out there and can benefit you in a way if you want or if you don't. But I don't care about that. What I care about is that information, it's out there. I communicate it through, and that's the only thing that it matters. So that's basically blast. And that's why it come across as controlling, because in a way it's controlling, because I'm not playing the play with you. I'm just putting my own personal point across based on the information that I know. Period. That's all. So that's what a blast, at least as an animal that is activated, is going to do, regardless of it is saber or demon. And that's one of the reasons why to many people it's very difficult to see blasts on themselves or blasts on others, because it's really difficult to put it aside, especially when it disguises as a lot of stuff, and it also interrelates in a lot of the other animals. So that's pretty interesting. So the way that I see it, for example, how blast plays out in my own life, I'm gonna be really honest and frank with you. I don't have a fucking clue. Uh, some people say that I'm consumable blast, some people say that I'm blastable consume, but the only thing that I can do to really track that on myself is to actually recording myself over the time and really track. So it's really important to track how much time I am spending doing my blast versus how much time I'm spending doing my consume. But also, I have this common theme in way in which I normally communicate something as a response to something that somebody else posts. And that happens very currently in the Facebook group. That I don't read it. and I forget to read it. That is happens in a pretty unconscious way because I already have my blaster response ready through just reading some very few elements that jump in my eye. So it's like I have like this constant, like this huge library of pre-packed responses, pre-packed shitty responses in order to blast those out each time that I see a certain combination of elements lining up. So I'm really not listening. That's also that has happened a lot in my life of people complaining about me not listening. So I wonder sometimes if that comes from consumer behaviors because I get that also a lot in my life. It's like, Miguel, you're not listening. And yes, they're right. I'm not listening. I'm frankly waiting myself to blast something to the tribe. And I don't care how you guys take it. I already put it out there, and that's the only thing that matters. The rest can go and fuck itself. I don't care. So yeah, I don't know what this says about me, but I'm sure the only thing that I know for sure is that my blast is not last. So I guess that's all for now. I would like for you guys to share your thoughts and comments in about blast. How do you identify it in yourselves, or how you identify it in others? So with that said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and we're seeing next week to close the all about section with the last video from this session that is going to be about sleep, which is the introverted energy animal. So hope that you guys enjoyed this, and hope that you have a great week. See you on the next video. Bye.